Hey guys, welcome back to part 2 of my survival on the island. If you haven't seen the first part yet, go check it out. Today we're gonna explore some new structure, find cool stuff, and upgrade our base a little. My first day started with harvesting the crops I didn't finish in the last episode. Now I finally had enough food, so no more problems with that. At first, I wanted to make some automatic farms, but then I decided to keep it simple. One classic farm is enough for me. After that, I started improving my base and doing things I didn't finish before. First, I finished building my storage room and started moving all the items from my little house. There were so many things, it took me a few days to move and sort everything.
What the hell?
Okay, let me continue where I left off. After working on the farms and getting my food situation under control, I started focusing on the base again. I built a storage room to keep all my stuff in one place and made a small area for the sugarcane farm. It took a bit of time, but it looked nice in the end. Then, something kinda annoying happened. I went back home, wanted to sleep, but the game told me, "You can't sleep, there are monsters nearby." I looked around, but I couldn't see any. No idea where they were hiding.
Surprise, motherfucker!
In the last episode, I didn't tell you everything. We didn't actually look at all the mods I added for this adventure. One of them was a mod that adds floats during rainy weather. At first it wasn't a big deal. In part 1 it didn't rain much, so everything was fine. But let me explain how this mod works. Instead of slowly filling areas with water, the mod just spawns one water block in a random spot. Sounds okay, right? At first I thought it's not a big problem, that's why I built a glass roof over my farm to stop the rain from flooding it and still let the sunlight in. But here's the problem. The mod was so badly made, it didn't care about roofs or walls. Water would just appear anywhere, even inside my house. My farm kept getting flooded. Sometimes even my carrots got washed away, and I had to replant them like 10 times. It was driving me crazy.
No one cares.
After a while, I just gave up and deleted the mod. After deleting the mod, I spent the next few days cleaning up the mess from the floods. The water had ruined my crops and flooded parts of my house, making everything look terrible. I had to replant the crops, fix the flooded areas, and dry out everything that got soaked. It was like I was cleaning up after a disaster, and it took way longer than I thought it would. Every little task felt like a huge job, and I was just running around trying to fix everything. Once I finally cleaned up everything, I decided my next project will be building a tower. I wanted it to be tall enough so I could see my house from far away and also get a nice view of the whole island. It would also help me out in case of a raid when I eventually built a village. I could defend from up there, taking advantage of the height for a better position. Plus, I thought it would make my island look a little cooler. It's definitely not a masterpiece though, more like a 3 or 4 out of 10. But hey, it adds something to the island, right? Inside the tower, I decided to add a water elevator. I thought it would be a much quicker and cooler way to get to the top without wasting time climbing up the ladder. My next step on this journey was improving the area around the Nether portal. The spawn point was really annoying, because getting to the portal was tough, with all those big basalt cliffs in the way. I wanted to make it more functional and cleaner, so it didn't feel like such a struggle every time I needed to get there. The first thing I did was dig a tunnel that led straight to the Nether fortress. This was a huge help. It made everything much quicker because I could just fly with Elytra across the tunnel, avoiding the cliffs and wasting no time. No more getting stuck, and I could easily get to the fortress whenever I needed to. After that, I focused on improving the area around the portal. Since it was located in a basalt biome, I decided to stick with that theme for the upgrade. It feels like the best way to make everything fit together. Instead of creating something that felt out of place, I used the same materials to make the area look more connected with the biome. It's not perfect yet, but it's definitely looking a lot better than before. The area now feels more organized, and I'm excited to keep working on it. I also spent some time improving the area around the blaze spawner. After that, I returned home, grabbed some TNT and set off to search for netherite scraps, so I could upgrade my armor. This was the first time I tried using this method in survival, so I was pretty curious to see how effective it would be. To my surprise, it actually turned out to be a great way to find netherite scrap. I used about 80 TNT and managed to find around 25 scrap. At first it might seem like it's not the most efficient method, especially considering how hard it is to craft TNT, but if you have a creeper farm, it's really not a problem. I love that this method didn't take up too much time, and in the end I had full netherite armor and tools already. After checking my chest, I realized I barely had any diamonds left, and as we all know, life gets tough without diamonds. So I headed straight into the first cave I stumbled upon. Now you might be wondering, why do you even need diamonds if you're already rocking netherite armor? And I know most of you are probably like, bro, we don't care. But I'm gonna tell you anyway. I needed diamonds to craft smithing templates. That's how you can decorate your armor and make it look extra cool. But I didn't want to use the regular templates, everyone already knows. So I installed a mod that adds 10 new ones, and honestly some of them look amazing. The only catch? Some of them are kinda hard to get. My favorite one, for example, can only be found in an igloo, and even then it only has 50% chance of spawning. Sounds decent, right? Well, not really, because finding an igloo in the first place is like winning the lottery. They're super rare, and with my potato pack loading chunks, like a slideshow, it wasn't exactly easy. Still I decided to go for it. I packed some food, grabbed my elytra and rockets, and went on a full-blown expedition. I wasn't just hunting for igloos, though I also wanted to explore all the new structures the mod added. Spoiler alert, I actually came across some really awesome ones.
Huh?
After spending the night under the open sky, just chilling and staring at the stars, I decided it was time to raid that rare structure I spotted. As soon as I got closer, I realized there were way more spawners than I expected. The real challenge wasn't just the sheer number of them, it was the fact that half of them were suspended in mid-air, which made them way harder to destroy. At first I was just flying straight at them and trying to break them, but in the end during editing I realized that I could have used Ender Pearls to reach those suspended spawners more easily. Of course I didn't think of that at the time, so I was just making it harder for myself. While I was breaking the spawners, I took some time to check out the structure. The mobs inside were pretty dangerous, and there weren't many chests, only about 4, but despite the dangers, the loot made it worth it. I even found some netherite scraps, which was a bit ironic since I had just spent so much time hunting for them in the nether. So, my advice is, if you don't feel like grinding in the nether for netherite scraps, just raid one of the top structures. It's a bit of challenge, but the rewards are definitely worth it.
It was at this moment that he knew. He fucked up.
Right next to the floating ship, I spotted another structure that looked pretty familiar. It was the same type we explored back in the last video, though at first I didn't expect much from it, but as I got closer I noticed a few differences in the design. That got me curious. I thought, maybe it just looks different on the outside, but what if the inside changed too? So of course I had to fly in and check it out, and to my surprise, the entire layout inside was completely different, with new rooms and a whole new structure vibe going on. While checking it out, I accidentally found a secret looking room that didn't have any obvious way in. At first I thought the entrance might be hidden behind one of the banners, but no, nothing there. Most likely it was just a hidden room that barely anyone knows about, and I just got lucky finding it. After flying around for quite a while, I finally came across an igloo. And not just any igloo. This one actually has a secret basement with the zombie villager setup. I was honestly hyped when I saw the trapdoor leading down. It felt like all the searching was finally about to pay off. But of course, you probably already guessed what happened next. No smitten temple. Nothing. Just your usual golden apple, some weak potions, and disappointment in a chest. Not far from the igloo, I spotted another structure I hadn't seen before. It looked like some kind of old fancy mansion, hidden in the snow. The place gave off weird vibes, so instead of walking in through the front like a polite guest, I decided to sneak in through the roof just to play it safe. The first thing I saw on the top floor was an illusioner, and yeah, he was acting kinda off. Nothing too wild, but definitely not normal. After dealing with him, I started exploring the rest of the place. The interior was simple, but had its charm. Nothing too fancy, but it feels like whoever built it actually cared about how it looked. I spent a bit more time walking around the first floor, thinking there might be some kind of basement hidden somewhere, but there were no stairs, no trapdoors, nothing. So I just broke through the floor hoping to find something underneath. Unfortunately, it was just solid foundation. During my journey, I came across a few igloos in some villages. I wasn't sure if they would have a smithing temple, but since they had chests, I thought it was worth checking. Unfortunately, none of them had what I was looking for. I also ran into a couple of villager outposts. Nothing too special. I looted the chests and freed the golems from their wooden cages as usual. I also came across a lighthouse during my travels. At first I didn't quite realize what it was, but as I made my way inside, I saw a mechanism that controlled the lights. It would have been a great touch if the developers had placed these structures near oceans, as it would have added a nice coastal atmosphere to the game. Despite this, I was really impressed by the structure design. Inside there wasn't much to explore. Apart from the top room, which has the main mechanism, the rest of the interior was quite empty. Surprisingly, there were no hostile mobs around, which caught me off guard. Usually these places are crawling with enemies. On the lower floor I found a bed, which could be useful if you ever find yourself needing to rest during your adventures. It wasn't the most eventful discovery, but it was still a nice place to check out and mark it a small yet interesting highlight of my journey. the last episode I found a big well near a raider camp, but didn't really check it out. This time, seeing the same type again, I decided to take a closer look. The bedrock floor and 2 gravel blocks made it seem like there was a secret passage, but after digging around I realized it was just decoration. Nothing hidden, no loot, just a cool looking well. After a long and wild journey through endless forests, freezing biomes, and mysterious ruins, I finally stumbled upon something truly breathtaking. I came across this beautiful windmill, and I instantly loved how it looked. There were wheat fields around it, and a bunch of zombie villagers wandering nearby. As usual, I decided to go in through the roof, and turns out that was the right move. The place was packed with mobs, so I definitely wouldn't recommend walking in without a bow and some arrows. On the top floor there were a bunch of barrels, filled with pretty bad loot, some of them were even completely empty. But when I made my way down, I noticed a basement area that actually had something interesting. There were some redstone mechanisms down there, and honestly I really liked the vibe of that room. Then I spotted a lever, and without even reading what the sign next to it said, I just pulled it.
Oh shit, I'm sorry.
Actually, the sign said termination, but even if I had read it, I wouldn't have guessed it meant blowing up the mill. It wasn't much of a treasure. The loot mostly consisted of junk, maybe a few diamonds in the basement, and nothing particularly valuable. However, I think it would be cool to build a house near such a mill, and already have a ready-made wheat farm. Occasionally I will come across the small ships in the middle of ocean. Essentially they are the same as the pirate ship from the first part, but on these ships there are raiders instead. The principle is the same. Those on the deck are frozen in place, so it's not hard to kill them. In the cabins there's only one spawner and a chest. I also managed to find this little house. When I entered, I realized that it wasn't an enemy structure, but rather a villager mansion. There wasn't a single chest inside, so don't expect anything special. However, I really like the design. It will be interesting to see an entire village built in this style. I never mentioned this before, but in the house where the illusionist was living, I found a map. The map had a marker on it that pointed to some kind of structure. It was a pretty neat feature to discover that one building could lead you to another through a simple map. I had no clue what I was going to find when I got to the market location, but the curiosity was killing me. As I was searching for igloos, I flew in the direction indicated on the map, eager to see what was there. After a bit of travel, I finally reached the location. Unfortunately, I didn't manage to record the beginning of my raid on the structure, but I can tell you that I was really impressed by how it looked from the outside. It had an aura of mystery that made me even more excited to see what was inside. I made the mistake of starting my raid from the bottom, going through the main entrance. It wasn't necessarily harder than coming in through the roof, but it was definitely more inconvenient. Why? Because some of the spawners were placed so high up that by the time I reached them, a bunch of mobs would already spawn. I couldn't deny that the exterior of the structure was absolutely stunning. Just take a look at it. After exploring the whole structure, I started sorting my items since they no longer fit in my inventory, even though I had 4 shulkers. This problem had been bothering me throughout my entire journey, so I decided to head back home and go on a search for more shulkers. It's a shame I still couldn't find the smithing temple I was looking for, but I was pleasantly surprised by how many interesting structures I found, especially considering the weak workload I was dealing with. In the end, I quickly found the end cities, and with my looting sword I managed to get a lot of shulkers. I had enough by the time I looted just 2 end cities, so I decided to return home. After sorting all my items into my storage, I also gathered some flowers for dyes, as I knew I'd need them for crafting later on. With that on, I set off for the Nether to gather wither skeleton skulls, to eventually craft a beacon. At first there were plenty of skeletons spawning, but after a while I couldn't find any. The problem was that the Nether fortress I was in was quite small, which made it harder for the wither skeleton to spawn properly. I could have flown off in search of larger fortress, but I knew that would take a lot of time, especially considering my previous experiences. Realizing that for the moment I could manage without the beacon, I decided not to waste any more time and headed back home. Finally, the moment came when I decided to focus on improving my island. Throughout my entire journey, I was only finding new structures, fighting mobs, searching for shulkers and resources. But I had left my island without attention, so I decided it was time to make it truly cozy and aesthetically pleasing. First of all, I paid attention to the dense forest growing in the middle of the island. It was very inconvenient to move through it. I constantly had to jump between trees or go around them, which took a lot of time. So I started cleaning part of the forest to make the area more open and suitable for further building. After that, I began working on creating a bridge. My island has several tall mountains, and to avoid going around them all the time, I decided to connect different parts of the island with a direct bridge. This significantly improved movement between areas and also added some picturesque beauty to the whole landscape. To add even more charm and dynamics, I decided to build an artificial waterfall. It started from one of the mountains and flowed down along the cliff, adding a natural touch to the scene. Together with the bridge, it created a very atmospheric composition, something that truly made the island unique. But I didn't stop there. Looking at the neighboring mountain, I saw it was perfect for something grand, so I climbed at the top, cleared the area, and decided to build a temple there. I haven't fully decided on its style yet, but I wanted it to be more than just a building. Something special, something with symbolic meaning for my base. But I didn't stop there. Looking at that in short, I dedicated my last few days entirely to transforming the island. Cutting down trees, building, planning, placing details, all of it to turn my Minecraft place into not just a base but a real home. What came out of it? See for yourself. just like that, this video has come to an end. I truly appreciate everyone who stayed with me throughout this entire journey. We explored, we fought, we built, and we had fun. While this might be the end of this episode, it's definitely not the end of the story. I will most likely be realizing a few more episodes from this world soon, so things are only going to get more exciting. Keep an eye on how my island slowly transforms into something incredible and beautiful. There are only still plenty of ideas, builds, and adventures ahead, but for now it's time to say goodbye. This was your Naming. See you next time.